Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Tiny Tacos. That's right, I'm going to show you how to make your very own freakishly small tacos, which were inspired by a recent fast food commercial I saw. And I have to say, they really did look disgusting, since they were made with this sort of gray mystery meat paste, and then drizzled with some kind of nacho cheese sauce. But while I found those revolting, I loved the idea of tiny tacos. So I tried to figure out a fairly easy way to do these at home. And the first thing we'll do for our tiny tacos is whip up a quick batch of taco meat, which we'll do by adding some diced onions and a pound of ground beef into some olive oil set over medium-high heat. And then to that we will add some salt, some chili powder, some ground cumin, some ground chipotle, some garlic powder, some freshly ground black pepper, a little pinch of dried oregano, and then a couple shakes of cayenne just to stay in shape. And then once all that's in there, we will grab a spatula and perform the old break and brown, which means we're going to brown this meat while we break it up into small pieces. And yes, because we're making tiny tacos, the smaller we get these pieces, the better. And then once we're happy with how our meat's been browned and broken, we will add a couple teaspoons of tomato paste, as well as a splash of cold fresh water. And we'll give everything a stir and then wait for it to come back to the simmer. At which point we'll reduce our heat to medium-low and simply cook this for about 15 or 20 minutes, or until most of our liquid has reduced. At which point our beef taco meat is pretty much done, and hopefully just like you remember from the grade school cafeteria, which is pretty much what I was going for. And then the last thing I'll add here once our beef is done is some freshly minced jalapeno peppers, which I will stir in and just cook for like a minute, just to take off that raw edge. And sure, we could have added those earlier with the rest of the ingredients, but I didn't want them falling apart and disappearing. And this way, they can retain a little bit of their color and texture. And that's it. Once those have cooked for about a minute, we'll go ahead and turn off the heat. And of course, taste for seasoning. And once we're happy with it, which I was, we'll simply let that cool down to room temp before we use it. And once that's set, we can move on to tiny taco production. And of course, to make tiny tacos, we're going to need some tiny tortillas, which are not a thing. So what we'll do is stack up 2 or 3 regular-sized corn tortillas, and we will take about a 2-inch pastry cutter, and we'll go ahead and punch some out. Oh, and if you know what chilaquiles are, that's what you should definitely make with the scraps. And I think we have an ancient video for that. But anyway, what we'll do once we've cut our regular tortillas into tiny tortillas is transfer those to a sheet pan and then top them with our cheese. And to make things maybe a little easier and a little neater, we can actually place the cutter we use right over the tortilla, and we'll use that to help keep our cheese in place. Which, in case you're keeping score at home, is the classic taqueria blend of half cheddar and half Monterey Jack. And by the time I got to the last one, I had figured out that using my fingers was easier than using the spoon. Okay, in the business, we refer to that as the learning process. And then once our tiny tortillas have been cheesed, we'll go ahead and transfer over about a teaspoon of our beef taco meat. And please listen carefully and do as I say, not as you see me doing. What we really want to be doing here is putting some of our cheese down, then our beef, and then the rest of our cheese. And you're going to see why very soon. But anyway, once we have those topped with whatever filling we're using, we will transfer those into a 350-degree oven for just about 3 minutes or so, or until our cheese melts and we're able to fold these in half. And then we will chill them in the fridge until they're firm, at which point we will fry those crisp in a pan and serve them. And the first one I did went so well, and it stayed together beautifully, but not the second one because of that thing I mentioned earlier. Because melted cheese will stick to melted cheese, but apparently hot beef will not stick to hot beef. So what we really want to do is place some cheese down, then our beef, and then the rest of the cheese. And these will, or at least should, stay closed. But anyway, I pressed on, literally. And somehow, some way, I was able to get most of those folded. Although, as you can see, a couple kept springing open. So what I did was grab another small sheet pan the same size, and I quickly placed that on top before those opened, which basically saved the day. And then I transferred everything into the fridge for about 20 minutes, or until they were firm and chilled through. And there was no danger any more of those springing open. And basically that's it for your tiny taco prep. Once these have been folded and colded, what we'll do is fry those in a little bit of oil set over medium-high heat for a couple minutes per side, or until our tortilla gets a little bit crispy, and the edges of that cheese get a little bit caramelized, and our filling is nicely heated through. Which is why we definitely want to use medium-high heat or higher. Okay, we want the outside to crisp up before the inside gets too hot and starts leaking out, which if you use high enough heat, should only take a couple minutes. And that's it. Once those are looking exactly how we want, we'll go ahead and pull those off the heat. And I did transfer mine onto a paper towel just to drain some of that excess oil off. But of course, suit yourself. And then I went ahead and served those up on what's basically a taco salad presentation. All right, so I arranged those on some shredded lettuce, in and around some pieces of avocado. And I decided to finish up with some diced onion, plus a few spoons of beautiful homemade salsa. Well, homemade by Rick Bayless, who then jarred it and sold it to me. And then I added a drizzle of sour cream over the top. And I finished up with some freshly chopped cilantro and a little bit of fresh lime. And that's it. My tiny tacos were ready to enjoy. And besides looking 100 times better than the ones I saw in the commercial, these probably tasted 100 times better as well. I mean, I'll never know. But what I can tell you is these really were fantastic. Just super fun to eat. Okay, it really is like biting into a tiny taco. And not just a regular taco. One of those newfangled queso tacos, which we posted a video for a while back. And of course, just because I use taco beef doesn't mean you have to. Okay, this really is just a techniques video. And as long as you cut it up nice and small, any of your favorite taco fillings will work. So please feel free to use whatever you want. I mean, you guys are after all the Leslie Sabracos of your tiny tacos. Oh, and of course, if you want these even tinier, you could just use a smaller cutter. But the problem is, if these were any tinier, I don't think we could get enough filling in to make these actually tacos. They basically would just be small folded pieces of tortilla. But on the other hand, if we made them any bigger, then really, what's the point? You might as well just be making regular tacos. So to me, this really was the ideal size. But anyway, that's it. My take on tiny tacos. Sure, they might be a lot smaller than regular tacos, but at least they're harder to make. But not that much harder. And if I've learned one thing after all these years in the business, besides that people love tacos, it's that people really do love miniaturized food, which I believe is because deep down inside, we all secretly want to be giants. So go Giants. But no matter what the motivation, I really do hope you give these adorable and very tasty tiny treats a try soon. So please follow the links below for the ingredient amounts, a printable written recipe, and much more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.